Uh, Tonight I will present you guys my project Florida Drought Event, a historical perspective. This work was basically a review of more than 100 years record of precipitation and temperature, and also included bibliographic research uh, over the same subject. Okay, Florida, like everybody else knows, is a is an state that characteristic for um, humid, a lot of superficial stream, and rain. We have a lot of rain here, and also there is a lot of wetland and swamp, the famous Everglades. So it's when you think about drought in Florida, it's like a thinking on flood in the desert. But we got flood, we have flood and drought. I mean, we had drought, and the drought in Florida affect basically the hydrology, the ecosystem. There is many species that suffer the impact of drought, and the of course the society. Drought can occur in Florida, associated global phenomenon known as teleconnection, like El Nino or La Nina or some other oscillation and variation that affects the climate in this region. Also, the atmospheric river bring a lot of humidity, moisture from the tropic to this area through the Gulf Stream. And in this moment, for instance, we are having a monsoon-like uh, precipitation. Basically, the entire day is raining those days. But a few years, a couple of years ago, it wasn't this way. I'm showing you here a headline from one of the major Florida newspaper. Mm, uh, Kimberly Miller is an anchor, a TV anchor, focusing weather news, and she's titulating her program that day, uh, Florida drought escalate extreme level. And that was in May 2017. Just 3 weeks later, we have another breaking news that it was amazing change in Florida drought in the last 3 weeks. This report is dated June the 20th of 2017. The what appeared as a complete uh, stressed territory by the drought now is basically dissipated. And that happened in Florida. The changes in from rain to dry hydroclimate is very quick, very fast, only from week to month. Um, and when it's rain uh, a lot, and when it's dry, uh, believe me, you feel it. So the purpose of this paper was to determine the drought event that affected Florida through the year. The available record was from 1895 till 2018. Uh, Also, we try to understand the drought trend in Florida and the relationship with the temperature. We bring the historical perspective of the drought event occurred in Florida since 1895, and also we want to gain knowledge about the drivers of the Florida drought and the impact in the hydroclimate. So drought in Florida, not like in Arizona or Colorado or California. We have our own characteristic here, and the major impact is in the hydrology. The Lake Okeechobee, which is the major water body, is the thermometer for the drought. Immediately start lowering the level, and you can see here in a section of the lake, uh, the bottom can be seen dry. Um, Also, minor stream and pond uh, can be dry completely out. Of course, the ecosystem of those areas suffer the swamp. There is a lot of work, many work related to the ecology of the drought. Many species are impacted, stresses, or sometimes die because the drought. And also there is a social impact. Florida is a very populated state, and uh, all the water consumption for the human and the cities are regulated, and there is severe regulation for during those days of drought. In this slide, we can see two headline of major newspaper uh, alerting the Florida about the drought, the situation that was very severe in May of 1981, and the other one is from April 2001. Okay, in our work we uh, delimitate the drought period or the drought event using the Palmer, both the hydrological uh, drought index and the Palmer's drought severity index. Um, we choose uh, uh, those events that can be classified as a moderate drought to severe drought. Um, See, we got 22 events since 19. The first register was in April 1898, with only 3 months duration. So we can even see here, and in the records can be appreciated how in 2 or 3 weeks, or even a month or two, um, a drought can be taking place. So we underline the duration of those drugs that we presumably consider as a flash drug. We have here the April 1998. We have also in 19, I mean 1898. We have also July 19, the second, and so far so on, which is a trend, is that the longest drought are in the last few decades. I mean, since 1980 to the present, we start having a longest period of drought than in previous uh, years. The longest drought in Florida so far was started on May 2006 till July 2008, a total of 27 months, with average precipitation per month of 3.98 inches. Um, but the most severe drought that we have in our history was on January 1935, only 3 months, but the average precipitation dropped to 1.69 inches. Here, the PDHI for Florida during the last 20 years is the way it's presented by the NOAA. Uh, See, in the 2000 to 2001, there was a huge uh, drought, also 2007, 2008, 2011, 2012, like in most in the United States, uh, and some minor drought of few months in the later years till 2017. This is the historical record of precipitation plotted together with the historic record of temperature. As can be seen here, there is not much relationship between them. We also try to correlate the temperature and precipitation, but the coefficient of correlation was too slow. But we try to isolate the drop, and in this graphic, we only consider the drought period and we plot the temperature against precipitation. Then we get a significant good coefficient of correlation. Mm, as you see here, even the R square have a pretty nice uh, value, the coefficient of determination. So uh, with this result, we are able that um, during the drought period, there is uh, a narrow, a tight relationship between precipitation and temperature. So those are our conclusion. Florida, uh, despite having a humid climate with frequent rain and its geography influenced by the ocean, uh, have suffered and still suffering periods of drought. The drought in the past, in general, were more frequent and shorter in duration. Through the 20th century, and especially um, the end of this century and the early 19th century, the drought have become longer, significantly deteriorating the environment and also affecting society. Lake Okeechobee represents a substantial reservoir of water for the state. However, it has been taken to extreme level during the last drought. Temperatures do not generally have a relation to precipitation, but uh, drought temperature during the dry period are significantly correlated with temperature. The correlation between temperature and precipitation in period of drought most evidently from the second half of the 20th century to the early, there was a mistake, 21st century. Um, the climate variability in Florida depend on the teleconnection and hydroclimatic event on a global scale, such as oscillation in the El Nino in the ocean temperature. The trend toward the rise of average annual temperatures during drought can bring a question if the presence of a if we are in the presence of a climate change or a hydroclimate change. Okay, thank you so much.